So I do think it's kind of appropriate that we have Brian Burke on the program today, as he is each and every Wednesday here on the show, for our midweek Berkey, on the heels of Ross Johnston with the Gordie Howe hat trick last night for the Anaheim Ducks, or as Zach Phillips, the pretentious hockey history nerd, reminds us, pushes up glasses. It's actually the Harry Cameron hat trick, dummy. Pushes up glasses.
That's right.
Oh, wait a minute. That was me barking about that the other day. Going back to 1917, Merrick, it's actually the Harry Cameron hat trick. He was the first, See, I can mock myself. I can make fun of myself, Zach. I'm not above that or below that. That's what we should rename the show. Rising to new depths and sinking to new heights. Welcome to the sheet. How about that? Whole new rebranding for the program. That's what we're going on here today. Glad to have you along with us today. Welcome to the sheet for this Wednesday, October 22nd. Before we get into the what's going to come up on the program here, I'm not sure if we already have Berkey standing by, but we don't. Okay, so let me know when we get Berkey on. How are you feeling today after yesterday's whatever that was with the New Jersey Devils? And by the way, the Devils, in the Maple Leafs defense, the Devils are playing some really good hockey right now. Jack Hughes has been phenomenal specifically, but I think even Jack Hughes was surprised at how much ice he had available to him whenever he wanted last night.
Yeah.
Like, what a game by Jack Hughes. And just I don't want to say gifted to him by the Maple Leafs, but they gave him a lot of room last night. They gave him a lot of strides last night, Zach. They gave him a lot of strides.
Yeah, this is the one thing I think a lot of people get mad at me for. They're like, you didn't give this person or this team enough credit. Hey, all credit to Jack Hughes, but they made his life pretty easy. In terms of how I'm feeling today, a little bit better than I was immediately after the game because I had After Dark. So I got some thoughts off my mind there, and then I joined the boys for Morning Take, and I continued to get thoughts off my mind. So I feel like I've kind of had my own therapy, my own release. So I feel a little bit better. If you ask me how I'm feeling going forward and things will be, we're probably going to go down a dark path. So that's just a heads up. Yeah.
Okay, well, a couple of things. One that I was thinking about this last night, and that is, do you know who's really, really happy about the Blue Jays run right now? Do you know who that is?
The Maple Leafs, Brad Treliving, Craig
The
Berube,
Maple Leafs,
everybody
baby.
in that room.
The Maple Leafs, because the attention is on the Blue Jays. It's not on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're going to get into that with Brian Burke here coming up in a couple of seconds. So why don't we just get right to it? This is The Blueprint, and The Blueprint, as always, is powered by FanDuel. FanDuel, download the app today and play your game. Coming up on the program here, each and every Wednesday we have Brian Burke on. Glad to have Burke aboard. Again, he's standing by. We'll get to Brian in a couple of seconds. We'll talk about, amongst other things, what's happening in Toronto. Want to get into the Brad Marchand situation from last night with a really emotional welcome back. And listen, even the Rat was emotional about it too. We'll talk about John Michael Lyles. We'll talk to John Michael Lyles, rather, about the Colorado Avalanche and a couple of interesting plays last night. One of them, Gabriel Landeskog, had a goal called back yesterday. And the explanation is a little bit different on this offside challenge. We'll get into that. There was also a Utah goal that was called back for goalie interference. Anyhow, Avalanche are continuing to be one of the most interesting teams in the NHL right now, despite the loss of the Mammoth last night. We'll get into that with John Michael Lyles. We'll talk about goalie interference. We'll talk about the Avs. We'll talk about Brad Marchand. We'll talk about, we should probably have put this on the Blueprint as well. And we're just waiting to onboard Brian here, Ross Johnston. And, it was interesting. So 1 goal, 2 assists, and the fight with Michael McCarron in the game last night against the Nashville Predators. And it did kind of seem, when he went in for the draw before the fight with McCarron, I don't know if words were exchanged like, hey, I need the fight for the Gordie here. This might be my only chance for the rest of my career to actually be in a position to get the Gordie Howe / Harry Cameron hat trick. And McCarron sort of recognized the moment and obliged. I don't know. I mean, there are 2 people that know that, and probably the linesman as well who dropped the puck, whether that was indeed the plan going right off of that face-off. But nonetheless, and I love it when, the fourth line guys, especially the tough guys, have command performances and command nights. Maybe Ross Johnston himself was surprised when he looked at his boxcar stat line last night and saw 1 goal, 2 assists in 5 minutes for a fight with Michael McCarron. But nonetheless, good on him. And congratulations to Ross Johnston for his Gordie Howe hat trick last night. The sidebar to that game as well, the Nashville Predators have now lost 4 games in a row. Interesting, as I mentioned, and we'll talk to John Michael Lyles about this coming up in a couple of seconds at the bottom of the hour, actually. Utah Mammoth 4-3 in overtime yesterday over the Colorado Avalanche. And one of the plays in this one, we'll go more in depth. Gabriel Landeskog scores his first regular season goal in seemingly forever. Trust me, I'm a massive Landeskog fan. I know how long it's been. But it's called the Mammoth Challenge for offside. And the first thing that you think of is, if you look at the far side, Nathan MacKinnon still isn't off the ice, and you think, oh, that's why they're calling this thing offside. But then when you have a closer look, it's actually a play at the blue line that is the issue here. And Dylan Guenther has the puck, but Valeri Nichushkin comes in and hits the stick of Dylan Guenther, bringing the puck into the zone. And if the Utah player is bringing the puck into the zone, it washes out the offside. Problem is, it looks like, and to me it's still inconclusive. Guenther brings the puck back, and so it should still be onside, and what was happening with Nathan MacKinnon at that point would be irrelevant. But the Situation Room, having a look at this thing, ruled that, and man, I got to squint really hard to see this one, that Valeri Nichushkin hit Guenther's stick, which pushed the puck back into the zone, and because it was Valeri Nichushkin's stick that propelled Guenther's stick, it actually counts as a touch for Nichushkin. Now, at first glance, I kind of looked at that in explanation and said, I don't like it. It looks to me like Guenther is bringing that back and bringing it back into the zone, and Nichushkin is just helping things along. He didn't actually touch the puck to bring it back into the Utah Mammoth zone here, so it should not be offside. But then it is a rule, and if that is indeed what happened, then they called it right. And the way that I kind of look at it is, if you grab someone's arm, okay, and you hit them in the face with their arm, that's not them hitting themselves in the face. You're still doing it. That is still you initiating that action, even though you haven't actually punched the person in the face. You're getting their fist to punch them in the face. So by that logic, it does make sense. And that is how the rule was written. The reason I'm not a big fan of it, and maybe there's different angles that the NHL, the War Room sees on this thing, is I don't see it. Mind you, my eyesight is not as good as it used to be when I was 25 years old and didn't need to wear glasses. But still, I just don't see Nichushkin's stick hitting Guenther's stick at that moment. Nonetheless, that was the play. That was the call. Sounds like we're having a hard time connecting with Berkey. Let's get a quick update from Zach Phillips here. Any update on Berkey here, Zach?
Just working on trying to get him connected. It looked like he joined and then went out, and
okay.
I'm trying to get him back.
All right. You let me know. Until then, I can continue to run through a number of the things that I wanted to get to today on the program. And one of them, and we're hoping to get an ex-Hartford Whaler on to talk about this tomorrow. First of all, Peter McGuire is going to be with me tomorrow. Amongst the things we're going to talk about, which we spent a lot of time talking about yesterday, is the Carolina-Colorado matchup tomorrow in Denver, which will be the Avalanche, or should we say Hartford Whalers, facing off against the Quebec Nordiques as the Colorado Avalanche. Now, one of the issues, and I can remember this issue going back 6 or 7 years ago when Dougie Hamilton played on Carolina and wore the number 19. there was, again, this is all sort of under the umbrella of the idea that this is like a celebration of the history of the Hartford Whalers. This is a celebration of the history of the Quebec Nordiques. And one of the sidebars to this, and I should have brought this up yesterday, is if you're honoring the past or you're honoring the heritage and you're honoring the tradition that was either the Hartford Whalers or the Quebec Nordiques, what do you do about retired numbers? Should they be out of circulation for this game as well? And there are two that we come to in this game. One is number 19 for Hartford, the late John Pye McKenzie, former Boston Bruin, former Whaler. That number has been retired was retired by the Hartford Whalers. Dougie Hamilton wore it, and he wore it as a Hartford, when they did their retro, he wore it as a Hartford Whaler. And I remember at the time, I'm like, it doesn't really sit well with me. If you're going to be honoring, the Hartford Whalers, respect the retired numbers, at least. And number 19 now is, of course, worn by K'Andre Miller. Now, K'Andre Miller will wear number 19 tomorrow, as I expect as well. Cale Makar will wear number 8 in the Quebec Nordiques uniform tomorrow as well. But that was a number that was retired by the Quebec Nordiques, the number 8. I believe the second number retired by the Nordiques after number 3 in J.C. Tremblay. They've also retired Michel Goulet and Peter Stastny. I do believe that Cale Makar will wear the number 8. I know that right away a lot of fans have had issue with not respecting retired numbers. Like if you're going to go with the historical look and celebrate a franchise that no longer exists. I know some fans, specifically with Quebec, feel that this is salt on an open wound still. And I think the same is true for some Hartford Whalers fans. But I'm of the mind personally that if you're going to do that, you should respect the honored numbers. And for one night, Cale Makar should wear another number. And for one night, K'Andre Miller should wear another number. Now, I did check with someone, and there is a process for doing that, even just for one night, for doing it and then undoing it. And it involves, the marketing department. It involves sales department. Could this impact jersey sales? Like, there's a lot of issues that you don't think about right away. We always think of, the law of unintended consequences. Matt Duchene is horribly offside once, and now all of a sudden we're doing, video reviews and going pixel by pixel and slowing the game down. No one intended it to be like that, but again, the law of unintended consequences takes us there. And this is kind of what we're getting at now with the idea of respecting retired numbers and having players pause their numbers for one game, which I know for sure we're not going to see from Carolina/Hartford, and we're probably not going to see from Colorado, Quebec. I don't think Berkey's hopping on today. Doesn't sound like it, eh, Zacharou?
I cannot get a hold of him.
Okay, no problem.
I'm working on it. I'm trying, but I'm not sure as of right now.
Not a problem. We have a lot to power through here today and a lot to get to. And John Michael Lyles is going to join us towards the bottom of the hour. And there's a lot of issues to get in with him. And I'm going to play a little game to kick off the interview with Lyles, which is, who said this about you? I'm going to read a couple of comments that someone texted me about John Michael Lyles. And I'll read it to him, and it'll be up to him to guess who said that about him. What do you think about that, Zach? As we do sort of show prep on the air, live.
Yeah, I like that. That's a fun game.
You like that? That'll be fun?
Are any of them anything you said?
No, this is from one person specifically. This sort of like, and here's a tip to like younger broadcasters. When you're having someone on your show, like do a little bit of homework, like check around, find out other people that he's played with or he knows, find out if there's any stories. Like it always just makes for a better interview, or at least an interesting interview. So one person sent me a couple of comments about John Michael Lyles. I'm going to see if he can guess who said it. Anyhow, well, the big one of the big issues coming out of last night was like we knew it would be emotional. But I didn't know that it was going to be that emotional and that impactful. But I'm not there, so no surprise. But the Brad Marchand tribute yesterday in that Florida-Boston game was, well, it was overwhelming for Brad Marchand himself, who I don't even know that he thought he was going to react as emotionally as he did. The video the Bruins put together for him was excellent. The reception from the fans was great. And watching Brad Marchand, just overcome with emotion back at the Garden. David Pastrnak was feeling it and probably welling up to Jeremy Swayman, etc., Charlie McAvoy, guys that have played a lot of years with Brad Marchand probably felt the exact same way. And as if you're watching us on YouTube, you're seeing the reaction of Brad Marchand as he's watching his own history. And he can't help but welling up some great highlights. And one thing that you're sort of struck by, Colby Cohen mentioned this today, because Colby was there with Brad Marchand with the Boston Bruins when Marchand just started. He started out as like a fourth liner, and it's like, who's this guy? He's running around. He's dirty. He's cheap. He's he's earning the rat reputation. All of that. I don't know anyone outside of him, his family, the scouts that stumped for him, ever thought that the Brad Marchand that we see now with 2 Stanley Cup rings and is going into the Hockey Hall of Fame 3 years after his career is over, ever thought that guy that we saw on the fourth line with the Boston Bruins was going to end up as this Brad Marchand. This guy who's going to the Hockey Hall of Fame, who's loved in Florida, the team that he plays for now, obviously, but adored, like a deep, deep adoration in Boston. And I always do wonder, maybe I'll ask Lyles this too, like, I wonder how tough it would be after that to play. You ever think about that, Zach? Like the players that you see, like I remember when Darcy Tucker returned to Toronto as a member of the Colorado Avalanche. I remember saying to him, and I asked him after, I was like, how did you go out after that? I mean, it was so emotional. Like, how do you just park that and then bam, I got to go out there and play? That's got to be one of the most difficult things to do as a player. You're just overwrought with emotion. Let me catch my breath here. Let me pause. And it's like, nope, let's drop the puck, get back out there and do your thing. But that was a beautiful night in Boston. Tough loss for them on an insanely fluky goal. We've seen some weird ones this year, like bounces off the back glass that end up going in. That was a weird one. And then yesterday's game winner by the Florida Panthers was just flat out bizarre. But listen, the star of that one very much was Brad Marchand. We do have Brian Burke aboard, which is outstanding. We have Berkey here every Wednesday. Technology, Berkey, sometimes is not our friend, but nonetheless thrilled to have you aboard as we are each and every Wednesday. How you doing today?
Good. I'm sorry I was late. I had technical issues here at the mall.
No problem. Where are you?
At the mall at Sherway Gardens.
Oh, out in Etobicoke. Nice.
Supposed to be at a quiet restaurant. Didn't make it there. Couldn't get on, so might be a bit of noise. I apologize.
No problem. I would imagine there'd be a couple of autograph seekers there along the way as well. I've been out in public with you before, and they find a way of hounding you down. Hey, before we get to the Maple Leafs, I was just going on a little bit about Brad Marchand last night and how wonderful that tribute was for him and how emotional it made Brad Marchand. And listen, you've watched the entire career. You know the player, you know the person. First of all, what did you make of last night in Boston with Brad Marchand?
I thought it was a really discouraging way to lose a hockey game if you're Boston.
Mm-hmm.
You tie it up, you force overtime and lose. But they should have won it in regulation. But anyway, I thought it was great. When you have a great career like Marchand has had, and he was a great player for the Boston Bruins, won a title. A guy like that should be celebrated. He was really well celebrated last night. He was very emotional about it, which I'm not surprised.
What do you think about the evolution as the player? Like, you remember when he first joined the NHL, fourth line, Boston Bruins. I don't think anybody ever thought that he was going to become, the captain of the Boston Bruins and a future Hall of Famer. Like, there have been a lot of speed bumps along the way for Brad Marchand. I think everybody's watched him evolve as a player evolve as a person, and graduate to what we see now, despite what we may have seen Saturday against the Buffalo Sabres with Rasmus Dahlin's helmets. But, what did you think when he first joined the NHL? And here's this fourth line guy who's, flat out just running around out there.
I liked his spirit. I liked his guts. I liked his balls. I thought he was a fourth liner. I never thought he'd be a good offensive player. I saw him play in the American League first. I thought, what a rat, what a brave guy he is to play that hard when he's that little, when he's tiny. And at a point in the league where size still mattered a great deal. So I thought he'd have a short career, unspectacular. Boy, was I wrong. I love being wrong.
Especially about someone like Brad Marchand, too.
Exactly.
He's. I want to park a little bit of time here and get your thoughts on Ross Johnston last night. But first, that was a tough game for the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. They left a lot of ice open for a lot of New Jersey Devils players, specifically Jack Hughes, to skate on. I know it's early, Berkey, but this team really looks slow right now. How in your opinion, because you've sat in the chair that Brad Treliving sits in right now, how serious is this right now for Toronto?
Well, what bothered me is New Jersey flood forechecks and flood neutral zones. End up with all five skaters on one side of the ice. If you draw a vertical line down the whole length of the rink, all five skaters end up in the neutral zone on one side of the ice. All five skaters end up in the attacking zone on one side of the ice. That's how they take away their time and space. That leaves a lot of ice open. That means if you move well and reverse the puck, you can make a lot of plays. So to me, it was poor reading and then lack of effort. I'd be concerned about their lack of foot speed. You're right. They look quite slow. A lot of that's your feet, slow moving, and you're not reacting quickly enough. But I'd be concerned right now.
The one thing, though, I was mentioning this before you came on, one of the saving graces for the Maple Leafs right now is, the run that the Blue Jays are on going into the World Series. If it's not for that, all the attention is on Toronto. And Brian, you know what that is like. Every player feels it, every manager, every coach, et cetera, et cetera. They've bought them, so the Blue Jays have bought them, some more time here outside of the spotlight. But this has got to be one of those situations where if you're the Maple Leafs, you need to turn this thing around quick, because whether the Blue Jays win or the Blue Jays lose against the Dodgers, attention is going to be on them. And you know what it's like when things aren't going well and the attention is on the Leafs.
Yeah, I agree. And the biggest concern for me would be they're trying to figure out who to play with the two big guys, with Knies and Matthews. Yeah. And they shuffled people in and out, and it's not working. They either got to leave Willie there and play with one big line, or be committed to having two lines and leave Willie alone, leave with Tavares. But to me, the shuffling doesn't make much sense.
Thing about this team is we knew when Marner went to Vegas that this was going to be a different team, B, not as good in the regular season, but more playoff built. Is there a part of you that looks at this and says, Jeff, this is just the Maple Leafs transitioning from a good regular season team to a team that's more built to face off against Florida and Tampa in the playoffs? Are we looking at a transition, or what are we looking at here?
Well, I think first off, they've got to fix the lineup. When I mean fix, I don't mean fix like repair. They've got to set the lineup. I believe I've said this since Craig Berube came there. I love Craig Berube. I love Tree. They're both good friends of mine. But they seem to want to shuffle people in and out of the lineup. They want this guy to play every third night or second night. And they're looking for championship or combinations that work. And I don't think that works. I think if you give a guy one game, he struggles, so you move him down. And you move another guy up, and he struggles, you move him down. And you put a lineup together and say, you're playing the next 5 games. If that means one defenseman doesn't play for a week, too bad. Who's worried about his feelings? And they got to get a fixed lineup and give that a chance.
Elsewhere around the NHL, I do want to get your thoughts here on Ross Johnston. So we all know Ross Johnston, big, strong, fourth liner, one of the toughest players, best fighters in the NHL. Just a phenomenal game for him last night. 1 goal, 2 assists. He fights Michael McCarron. He gets the Gordy. He's the first star in the game. When you had a player like that, fourth line tough guy, has a night like Ross Johnston had last night, 1 goal, 2 assists in the fight, what do you do? Would you do anything extra special for that player after the game, where you just go, Yeah, son, that's what you're paid for. How'd you react?
When I first got started, I remember one night Craig Cox beat Bob Probert in a fight. I was so excited. I gave him $300 of my own money. You can't do that. Pat told me you're going to go broke if you pay off everyone who wins the fight. I was so excited. Just put all the cash I had in my pocket and gave it to him. But no, I think you bring him solo him, single him out in front of the group and say, what a night. Because it's so hard to score goals when you're a player like Ross Johnson. He's such a good kid,
Yep.
such a tough guy, such a valuable player. You get one goal, then you get this assist, and then you got a shot at the Gordie Howe. You get
Yeah.
a second assist, and you get the fight against a tough guy, and you do well in the fight. That's a good night. That's a good night.
It's you gave him 300. You gave Craig Cox $300.
Yeah. I was young and stupid.
That is such a Brian Burke thing. I know, like Brian, that is such a Burkey thing to do. Here's $300 of my own money. What a great fight, kid. Go get him next time.
I'm telling a story last night. One of our scouts was there. He was telling the story in the press box. One of my first scouting meetings, I think my first scouting meeting with Pat Quinn. We were at a bar in Buffalo, and I got in a fight in the restroom. I went in to use the washroom. I hadn't even had a beer yet. And two guys got in an argument. The big guy suckered the little guy, started beating the snot out of him. I'm trying to finish my business. Hey, quit it. So I grab him. The guy hits me. The guy's about 6'4", 6'5". Hits me right in the face as hard as he can. I was so mad. I dropped him. I punched him twice, cut him wide open, knocked him cold. I go to the bar, I yell, hey, get some help in here. Help this guy. I go in the bar. There's blood all over my sleeve. And Pat Quinn was so excited. Pat says, what happened to you? I said, Pat, we got to buy this bar. I haven't even had a beer yet, and I've already gotten a fight in this bar. We got to own this bar. And Pat was outside. Pat said, a fight. And I said, no, it's over, Pat. Too bad.
But Pat wanted to hop in?
Pat wanted to hop in.
That's awesome, Berkey. Tomorrow we're going to see something. I'm curious your thoughts on this because one of these teams is obviously near and dear to your heart. So Carolina plays Colorado tomorrow. Carolina's wearing the Hartford unis and Colorado is wearing the Quebec Nordiques uniforms. Not every ex-Whaler or ex-Nordique is exactly thrilled about this. How do you feel about it?
I think it's awesome. I think it's great. They're great uniforms. They're beautiful uniforms. Still one of the most popular items online.
Oh, yeah.
When people buy hats and sweaters, it's still one of the most popular uniforms online. I love it. I think it's great. Nordiques uniform as well, but especially Hartford.
Mm-hmm. So here's the other issue with it, and we'll move on from this topic after that. So Cale Makar wears number 8. With the Quebec Nordiques, Mark Tardif's number 8 number is retired. With the Hartford Whalers, Keandre Miller wears number 19, like Dougie Hamilton before him, and that number is retired for the late John Pye McKenzie. Do you think those numbers should be taken out of circulation for one day? Like, should Cale Makar wear a different number? Should Keandre Miller wear a different number tomorrow?
No. Retired numbers are retired numbers. And Cale, I think, would understand. So would Keandre. Pick something else. Pick something symbolically different. Don't wear a number that was retired. Don't do that.
Yeah. There is a process for doing it. I don't know how long it takes, but I know the NHL is sensitive about changing numbers, certainly in season. But I'm with you on this one. Even just for one night, find another number to wear. Okay. Before we finish up and I'll let you get back to lunch, I was in Washington on Sunday and watching the Caps and the Canucks and was having a conversation with someone there about arena temperature and the thermometer. And I was wondering if the NHL had like a target for the thermometer in the rink where it's still comfortable to go to and see a game, but yet cold enough so the quality of the ice isn't affected. And I texted someone who's, I don't want to say who it is, but let's just say his name rhymes with Patrick Burke. So I was texting someone whose name rhymes with Patrick Burke, and he said, don't ask me, ask Big Berkey about this and really get him going. Your thoughts on the thermometer fight in the NHL in rinks?
Okay, so Dan Craig, who's now moved on, his son is in charge of the ice. Dan Craig put standards in. I want to say you have to be at 60 degrees when the game day skates begin. and you have to be back at 60 degrees when the game starts. And then the temperature goes up in warm buildings.
Yeah.
If you're in the Honda Center, people start coming in, the temperature goes up. They bring it back down for puck drop to 60 degrees. So it's cold enough you need a sweater. Or people complain about it, but I know what Patrick's getting at. We had a fan who passed away and blamed it on me because he said his wife didn't like the temperatures and got pneumonia and died. It was my fault. I said, that's a little far. You're a little extreme. You could have bought a sweatshirt or something, but that's how bad it is. But no, I used to complain about the building being too warm. I don't care if it's cold. Buy a sweatshirt.
That's what.
The top priority is good ice.
Yeah, that's all right. And the thermometer fight is obviously but the fight, I believe, is between like the general manager and the president. The manager wants the ice quality good for the players and the quality of play, and the president wants the season ticket holders who pay a lot of money for tickets to be comfortable when they go to a game. I've always been of the mind that when I go to a hockey game, since there's ice involved, I expect the building to be cold. Like I don't expect to see racks of hanging lamb in the corner. But I expect it to be a chilly experience because I'm going to see a hockey game, a winter sport, regardless of whether you're Anaheim, Dallas, Florida, or Edmonton, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it should be cold. You can't have quality ice without cold temperatures. And if you didn't bring a sweatshirt, then buy one. We sell them in the building.
You're the best, Bricky. We'll let you get back to lunch. We'll move on and get you back on. There's a couple of other things that I know are sort of pet Brian Burke peeves that I want to ruin your day with, but we'll save that for next week. How about that?
Okay, perfect. See you, Jeff.
There he is, Brian Burke, joining us from Sherway Gardens. If anyone watching or listening in the Toronto area knows, that is a legendary mall in the West End in Etobicoke. So thanks as always to Brian for stopping by the program today. From there, I want to remind you this segment is a presentation of Prime Monday Night Hockey. Prime Monday Night Hockey streams all national regular season Monday night NHL games on Prime Video in Canada and is available free to Prime members in Canada. Stream Prime Monday Night Hockey exclusively on Prime Video and experience thrilling goals and dramatic plays from the NHL. Monday nights are hockey nights. Don't miss a moment of the action. Coming up Monday the 27th, Atlantic Division matchup. The Bruins are in Ottawa taking on the Sens. Check out the link in our description for the Prime Monday Night Hockey schedule on Prime Video, or go to primevideo.com/NHL. Also on Prime Video, Face Off Inside the NHL Season 2. Subscribe with a 30-day free trial to Prime Video to watch Monday Night Hockey and the new season of Face Off. Download the app or go to primevideo.com. With that, and I hope this opening part goes well, I want to bring John Michael Liles to the broadcast. Former NHL defenseman, now analyst for the Colorado Avalanche, and there's lots to get to from yesterday's game. First of all, thanks so much for stopping by. Love the hats. Another juggernaut season coming up for, and already is, with Michigan State, with Porter Martone, et cetera, Caden Lidstrom, et cetera. Okay. Before we get into the Avalanche, and I want to get your thoughts on Brad Marchand because you played against him and you played with him, and what we saw yesterday was real special. So I want to play a game called Who Said This About You? So I was texting with someone. I said, what can you tell me about John Michael Liles? And this is what came back, and I want you to tell me who you think said this.
Right.
A supreme guy who was the best D I ever played with. He was just so easy to play with, calming influence, always available, positive guy. I played a number of preseason games, and all 3 regular season games with the Avs were with him. And off the ice, just a great veteran, never a dick to young guys. Who said this about you?
Oh, he might not say this about me now. I think it's Colby Cohen, and I was giving him flack this weekend because Michigan State took it to BU.
Yes,
on
they did.
Friday, and it was a really good game on Saturday. It was a crazy ending, but I'm guessing it's Colby Cohen.
Bingo, you pass. Okay, we can now proceed with the interview. Pass, go, collect 200. Yeah, that was Colby Cohen. He's like, man, this guy was just like so like the way that he described you. How about this? The way that Colby just described you. Did you have someone like that in your career who are just like, oh, this guy is just so easy to play with. Oh, this guy's simple, great vet, great with the kids.
Yeah.
Like, did you have your own version of you?
Um, you know, I was fortunate to play with a lot of really great players. I don't know about like I'm not going to go on like D partner per se, but there was a couple like Joe Sakic was so easy to
Sure.
play with, but then later in my career when I'm a little bit older and playing in Boston, like Patrice Bergeron was so he made a D man's life so easy. And if he made a mistake, he was there to cover it up. He was always in the right position. Like it just you wanted to be on the ice with Bergie at all times because he was just that guy. And Joe was the same way. And I told Bergie that when I was retired that I said you're the one of the closest players to Joe Sakic that I've ever seen, and
Wow.
I know that he appreciated that because I'm pretty sure he grew up watching Joe in Quebec, and I love playing with Joe. I love playing with Bergie. I made a ton of great that I got to play with. Rob Blake was one of those guys, a D partner of mine for my first few years, and he was awesome with the young guys as well. Same thing with Joe. Like Joe's still one of my closest buddies, and yeah. So I mean, I could have picked quite a few, but those are the ones that definitely stand out.
For sure. And yeah, you're bang on. Bergeron grew up a massive Quebec Nordiques fan. As a matter of
Yep.
fact, I asked him once, I said, because he's like, Boston is the only team I could see myself playing for. And I remember I said, well, what if the Nordiques came back to the NHL? And he's like, ooh, that might be the only other one that I could ever see
Think
myself.
about that one, which is I mean, Bergie was one of those guys. I loved playing with him. I mean, my time in Boston was a little year plus or whatever, and had some injuries and whatnot. But I love my time there with those guys. And you mentioned. And he was absolutely one of those guys as well. Just you hated playing against him. You knew when he was on the ice all the time, but you loved playing with him. And there's a reason why those teams with Bergie and Chara and Marshy were so successful. Is because they didn't take practices off. Practice was always a way to get better. They were trying to win every battle and make sure that you knew it if you lost it. And they genuinely cared about each other and the guys on the team. And I firmly believe that there was that amount of success was due to those guys and the way that they cared about each other and cared about every guy that walked through that door.
But before we get to last night against the Mammoth, and I want to ask you about the offside that wiped out Landeskog's goal, which I'm still I understand it, but like part of me is like I just don't see it. But anyway, we'll get into that in a second. You mentioned Brad Marchand. I know you had the game last night, Avs and Mammoth, but I'm sure you've seen the highlights and the outpouring of emotion, and Brad was pretty emotional himself, understandable. Listen, you played against them, you played with them. What did any of that surprise you? Not just from the fans, but like the outpouring of emotion from Marchand himself. And what was it like to play against him? What was it like to play with? Like, is he as miserable to play against as it seems?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's hard to play against, and it's because he will not lose. It's just even if he's losing, he's going to find a way to win, and it's probably going to be some sort of verbal abuse that you're going to take, and that'll be the win. But it just playing against him. He was hard. He was really hard to play against. Physically, mentally, and for most of my career, not most of my career, but some of my career. I mean, I was in the West, and so I didn't see him a ton. But then coming to Toronto and playing against him when he was in Boston, like it was just, those teams were tough, and he was right there in the mix all the time, and just really, really hard to play against. And then playing with him, and it was awesome because you love having guys like that on your team, and he drags guys into the fight, and you have a guy. Him and Matthew Tkachuk is a buddy of mine, and like you have him and you have Tkachuk and you have Bennett, and those guys drag guys into the fight, and those are there's a reason why they're able to have success year in and year out. It's because they refuse to accept anything less, even if you're maybe not the guy that's going to go in there and crash and bang. Like they're going to pull you in and make you love doing that. And that's the ultimate compliment, because it's just we all love playing the game of hockey, but there's definitely, like certain guys, there's certain types of players, and I think what they've done in Florida and this past year, like it was fun to watch because those guys,
Yep.
there is no substitute for what they bring on a nightly basis, and you can't help but want to be a part of it when you're on a team with those guys.
Okay. To last night. Now, full disclosure, anybody who's watched or listened to this program has heard me say this before. Full stop, my favorite player in the NHL, pretty much since he joined the NHL and even before when he played with the Kitchener Rangers, is Gabriel Landeskog. I just love everything about Gabe Landeskog. Like it's embarrassing, but still. So watching the game last night, Gabe Landeskog scores. I'm like, all right, this is awesome. Here we go. They're going to challenge offside. And I thought it was for the line change, and that McKinnon was still on the. So like, all right, and we're watching the offside here, and so Gunther and Nichushkin are at the blue line. It looks to me like Gunther's about to bring the puck back into the zone. Nichushkin, and again, I still don't see it with my own eyes, but I guess the War Room are saying Nichushkin hit Gunther's stick, which brought the puck back into the zone, which means it was a Colorado carry and not a Utah carry. So that goal has to come back. Man, I can't tell you how many times I watched this over and over and over last night. I don't see Nichushkin's stick hit either Gunther's stick or the puck. That propelling is from Gunther's stick. Like, my eyesight is not as good as it used to be 10 years ago. I have to wear glasses now, but like, what did you see with this thing?
I kind of saw what you saw. I think most people saw that as well. I was shocked, frankly. I didn't think that they were going to. I didn't think that they were going to call it back. I thought that it was a classic case of, hey, he stick handled it. Now, was there contact with sticks?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see it.
I didn't think it was enough to overturn it in my mind. And once again, Gunther was stick handling the puck back. He was bringing the puck back. And so does Nichushkin's stick cause him to bring the puck back? I don't think so. He was bringing it back. Now, does Nichushkin's stick hit his? Maybe it does, but I don't think that's what caused it to go back over the blue line. And Jared Bednar was on the Altitude Radio show this morning and just said that the explanation given was absolutely ridiculous. Said he still thinks it's the wrong call, and the explanation did not give any sort of rationale that made sense.
Well, like I understand, like if Nichushkin's stick hit Gunther's stick and brought it back into the zone, then I'm good. Then it was the right call. The problem is, and maybe just the problem is just my eyes, I just don't see it. I just don't see Nichushkin's stick hitting Gunther. I don't know. And the call on the ice.
There's a different camera, or with better with better technology in the War Room than what we were seeing on every replay last night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think it was enough to overturn it. I think it completely changed the complexion of the game. Instead of being up 2-0 and playing pretty well at that point, all of a sudden Utah gets energized. Now the Avs battle back for a point and still don't have a loss in regulation. Like it's call it what it is, but yes, it definitely changed the complexion of the game. You're not the only one that loves Gabe Landeskog. I would say pretty much everybody is in that boat, and my wife included. And it's, I just remember Berkey. I saw you had Berkey on before, and I love Berkey. Brought me to Toronto, but I remember him interviewing Landy. I believe it was the year after I got to Toronto. So I'd been in Toronto for a year, and I remember him telling me that, and he said it in the media too, but he just said this guy will be an NHL GM one day. He's 18 years old, and he should be doing these interviews at 18 years old. He's just that polished. He's that well respected, and you can see it. I mean, regardless of the playoffs last year against Dallas or the games this year, like you can see the respect that is shown toward Landy for what he went through to make it back, but also just the player in person that he is. I think it's better. The NHL is better having him in the league and playing on a nightly basis.
I'll just ask this bluntly. How many other guys, if they had the same injury that Landeskog had, knowing what was ahead of them for rehab after just winning the Stanley Cup would have just packed it in? Because there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees.
You're
No guarantees.
95% of any hockey players that knew what was ahead.
Yep.
Without knowing that you would come back, but you'd say, hey, you have 3 years of absolutely just grueling, whether it's surgeries, rehab, setbacks. You have 3 years and it's a coin flip that you make it back. I'm saying 95% of guys say, I'm good.
Yeah. I just won the cup. I'm good.
Yeah.
I got my name on
the
the
cup. I'm gonna finish out my contract on IR and get paid, and I've got young kids, and I've got a life ahead. And I mean, I think that I've golfed with him a couple times this summer here in Denver, and the shape that he put himself in to get back. I mean, and he's always been just an absolute just beast, but just hugging him or whatever, and you're like, dude, you are redded right now. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, I didn't think he could get in better shape. And he's in better shape. Now, you're also operating, last year in the playoffs, coming back from 3 years, you're pretty much running on adrenaline for the, call it the last 4 games or, whatever 5 games that he played. You're running on adrenaline. Now you're in the grind of the season, and now it's okay. He trained super hard this summer and he's ready, but it's also you've been off for 3 years and you're not operating on that adrenaline from the playoffs. So there's that kind of getting back up to speed, it feels like. Mm-hmm. And it would have been nice for the count last night, because you could see that second line for the Avs, Nelson's starting to look really good. Nichushkin's really starting to get going, and Landy's it feels like he's right there, but it's kind of working through that 3-year layoff minus the 5 games in the playoffs when you are just running on pure adrenaline, in my mind.
How is the organization, or fans, the organization feeling right now about Martin Necas? And let me bias it. Let me bias it this way. I know everybody in overtime goes crazy for the Oilers, and rightfully so. Leon and Connor out there is magical. Mm-hmm. To me, the best combination that I've seen the last few years for overtime was Aho, Necas, and Slavin. It was a guarantee every single time. There is no replacing Mikko Rantanen. I'm not saying that Necas is Rantanen. They're two profoundly different players. But what has this experience been like for Colorado?
Well, you're spot on. They are 2 completely different players. And listen, there's some scar tissue for sure from Game 7 last year. But Marty Necas, what I think we're seeing right now, and you talk about Slavin. I played with Slavin his rookie year in Carolina. Great kid, unbelievable defender. Yep. And you put him out, Aho and Necas, they're so fun to watch. And you have Slavin, who's always the security blanket, but can still chip in offensively. Well, now you're getting, Makar, McKinnon, and Necas, which is very fun to watch as a broadcaster. But what you're seeing now, I think, is kind of that McKinnon and Necas reading off each other a lot better. And not to say last year they didn't. There's definitely chemistry, but they're also both guys that love to handle the puck. And so now it's if Necas is coming in, McKinnon almost trails the play like a defenseman sometimes. And it takes a little bit off of Nate's plate. He still has that ability to zip through the neutral zone if need be. When he gets the puck, he's so explosive. But Marty Necas he's so smooth, he's so fluid, and he has that ability to really spin and kind of find Nate coming in late as a trailer. And it's happened, 2 or 3 times in the first, call it 3-4 games, where Nate's walked in and, in Buffalo, he puts it behind his back after Necas gives it to him and scores. And I think Marty Necas with Nathan McKinnon, and then you add Arturi Lehkonen in there, who's kind of, we call him the Swiss Army knife, where he just kind of does everything. Pucks. He goes to the front of the net, and the first guy to always credit Lehkonen is McKinnon, because Nate knows how valuable having Lehkonen on their line is and what he does on a daily basis. It's just fun to see the chemistry that's being built between those 3. I think there's a lot of noise because of the Mikko Rantanen situation, and now Marty Necas is, the possibility of unrestricted. There hasn't signed a contract yet. I don't know. In my mind, I still think that there's something that gets done, but it's okay. Is it is it a $10 million for 8 years? Is it $11 million for 8 years? Like, there's so many question marks. Okay, what, is Marty betting on himself, kind of pushing, hey, I'm playing with Nathan MacKinnon and we've got chemistry and I know that I'm going to put up 90 this year or 95 points. But yeah, he's a different player than Mikko Rantanen. But I will also say that like the Avs love that line of Necas, MacKinnon, and Lehkonen, and then you back that up with a second line that as that chemistry grows, we look at the underlying numbers in the playoffs of Nelson and Nichushkin and Landeskog and how good they were, and that's only going to continue to to get better in my mind. So now all of a sudden you have a top six for the first time since they won the Cup. You've got a second line center. You've got, Landeskog back, as healthy as he's been in a long time. So, it's super interesting to see kind of what's going to happen, how it's going to play out. Yeah. But yeah, I think the thing that's on everybody's mind is how the Rantanen situation played out. Mm-hmm. And they're just looking like, oh my gosh, is this same thing going to happen with Necas? And I don't know. I don't see that happening. I could be wrong, but I don't see that happening.
Different situation, different players don't get the Rantanen PTSD. Like, it's not the same situation, Avalanche fans. By the
at least not in October.
No, like, because everybody. But the thing is now, it's like, it's so funny. This used to be just for a couple of teams, but now it feels like there's no such thing as an 82-game season. It's 82 one-game seasons. Like, after every single game, it's just been so blown out of proportion. And I don't know when it started, but here we're at. Okay. I got 30 seconds left. Give me a hot 30 on the Nordiques versus the Whalers tomorrow.
Oh, what do you mean? The jersey? Just the jersey?
Yeah.
The
jersey.
It's so awesome. I'm like, we kind of got word that it was we'll call it the worst kept secret that it was going to be the Nordiques jerseys. Because they were leaked over the summer and everybody's like, oh, they're doing throwbacks. And then, of course, like the guys have to break in the gear. And so, you've got Avs breaking in Nordiques gear. You've got the Canes breaking in the Whalers gear. And I don't know that anybody knew that it was necessarily going to be this night. But the fact that they're doing it, I think it's awesome. The jerseys look unbelievable. On the broadcast tomorrow night, I think all of our broadcast team has Nordiques jerseys made for them. So, I'm pumped. I can't wait. I just like a Lyles 4 jersey and Nordiques. I'm hoping they don't take it back from me. I hope I get to take it home is what I'll say.
Throw that one in the gym bag real fast after the broadcast.
It's going right in the bottom of my briefcase, and I'll just say I don't know what happened to it. Yeah.
Yeah, here's your hat. What's your hurry? Got to go. Listen, have fun with it tomorrow night. Oh, that's got to be so cool slipping into that jersey. Yeah. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Listen, Avs are a great story. John Michael, thanks so much for stopping by today. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
There he goes. John Michael Lyles from the Avalanche broadcast, former NHL defenseman. And he nailed that one pretty quick, Zach? That it was Colby Cohen with that one?
Colby's going to give me some for him to get that.
I was waiting for that. I was hoping that Colby's going to give me some dirt on him, and then he just starts gushing about him like he's like the silkiest the defenseman ever. It's like I was waiting for him to say, "Well, he's kind of like Lidstrom in this way." I'm like, whoa. Colby said he loved them, just loved playing with them, and you can understand that. That's the thing too. Hey, that's always the mark of a good player. How easy do you make the game for those around you? You know what Colby Armstrong told me did that for him with the Maple Leafs? He said this guy never got credit, but he made the game easy for all of us, was Tyler Bozak. He said he loved playing with Tyler Bozak because he made the game so easy. Just like tiny little things are all done. Everything's presented as an easy game playing with Tyler Bozak. Anyhow, we got a few things to get. Yeah, you got a thought on that one, or do we move on? I think you're winding up for a big thought.
No, I feel like it's guys you wouldn't expect. It's not like necessarily the highest talent players that would do that for other guys. It's the guys who do the dirty work or are making sure they're checking off the details of the game.
That's if you ever wonder, like, how come this guy keeps getting contracts? How come this guy keeps staying or whatever? Don't ever forget what he does for teammates around on the ice. It might not show up in the goals and assists and all that, but if you can make it an easy game for your teammates, that goes a long way. Okay, time now for the question of the day. It's a good one too. I know it's early, but what the hell? Time now for the question of the day, presented by the Ninja 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the first of its kind. The Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
Okay, meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. Now you have the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. Just prep it, snap it, crisp it, serve it all in one container. This glass air fryer is PFSA free, thus no harmful chemicals while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and larger 4-quart Tupperware container. Whether you're whipping up a quick single-serve meal in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Cleanup is simple. All accessories are dishwasher safe and designed to nest for easy storage. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. Today's QOD is right out of the hip pocket of Zach Phillips. And what is it today, Zach?
Yeah, today's question of the day, which was presented probably a little bit more bleak by myself and then tweaked with the collaboration of the two of us to be in a better spot. And that would be, I think, tweaked in a better way.
Okay.
This one is, who do Leafs fans turn on if the season continues like this? The answers are not surprising, but I grabbed some that I very much enjoyed. There's a couple of different ones. They're the obvious ones, but the one, I think you're gonna laugh at this. Apologies if not, but you replied to it on Twitter, so
What's that?
I'm gonna say it. The one that made me laugh the most was the guy who just got angry for no reason and said, "You, Jeff, F off."
Oh, F you, yeah. F off. What did I respond with?
Like smooches.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that guy, yeah.
Like, why the hell are they turning on you?
Smooches,
What do
yeah.
you have to do with this? But anyways, that one made me laugh.
Why not?
Yeah. Jay Hagel one says Austin Matthews, especially Leafs fans watching the Jays right now with Vladdy showing up. That was a topic last night on the After Dark, and then today on Leafs Morning Take. The timing of that could not have been worse. Vladdy shows up to Game 7 to send his team to the World Series. He's not the best player in that game, doesn't do the biggest moment, but played really well.
Yeah.
Wore the Matthews jersey, and then was handed the MVP.
Yeah.
The next night, Austin Matthews wears a Vlad jersey. Fair enough, get it.
Yep.
And no shows the game.
Yeah. He wasn't
Timing could not have been worse.
He wasn't the only culprit there. He is the lightning
No,
rod.
no. For
He's
sure
the lightning
not.
rod.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a tough one for all involved yesterday. I get that your stars have to be your stars, best players. We've always heard that cliche. It's one of the freaking best players in the game. Like, just be careful who you turn on. Is all I'm saying. And for this question, for whatever reason, every market is different. Some markets turn on goaltenders. Some markets turn on coaches. Traditionally, Maple Leafs fans have always turned on defensemen. There's always one defenseman. This goes back to Larry Murphy. This goes, Corey Cross. This goes Brian McCabe. This goes Jake Gard, like Aki Berg. Like, this can go on forever. There's always one defenseman that Maple Leafs fans turn on and make that defenseman the representation of everything that's bad about the team at that time. But I don't get the feeling it's going to be a defenseman they turn on this time. I think it's a forward, or it's a coach, or maybe it's a general manager, or maybe it's just top of the organization too. Who knows?
Yeah, so those are some of the other answers that come through here.
Hang on. Did anyone say Kyle Dubas?
No, actually, no. There was, I think, almost 60 responses in total here on this one, and not one of them I found said Kyle Dubas.
Good.
Not one.
They should.
Yeah. So he was not listed there. But I expected him to be on there. I am sure you did as well, expected just people to respond with that, not on there. But yeah, it's a lot of Berube and Tree Living. The one person who said something different than anybody else, producer Vic. It'll be super unfair, but it'll want 10,000%, not
Whoa.
even 1,000, 10,000% be Brandon Carlo. Always the right shot D.
He is, listen, producer Vic, like picking up what I'm putting down about Maple Leafs fans always turning on one defender. It always happens.
Yeah.
Vic knows that it's always one defenseman that Maple Leafs fans turn on. That's just
Yeah.
the,
And
that's
then
just the
this
history of
one
Maple
here.
Leaf fans.
Ben
somehow
Franklin,
to be
2019.
Read it,
Mitch Marner. He
Yeah.
no longer played for the Leafs, but somehow it's still all his fault. Yeah. Look, I'm not going to turn on any of these guys. That's not where I'm at. But I do think it's fair to ask more of Nylander and Matthews. I'm not going to turn on them. Like I'm not ship them out of here. These guys stink. It's all over. But
Yeah.
there should be a recognition, I think, of the importance on them in the absence of Mitch Marner and how much more they may have to step up. And I kind of talked about it, like not every night you have your A+ night. That's fine. You're not going to score 2 goals, 3 goals every single night. But what do you do when you don't score? And being straight-legged and not back-checking and not interested in going in the corner on those nights, that's not going to cut it. Like, that's what's going to piss people off. Like, we can see that with our eyes that that's happening. And I'm not going to say that those guys do that 82 games of the year. They don't. There are times where they are just far and away the best players on the ice. They win every battle. They chase everybody down. But when it's going poorly and then you see that, it's like this market especially, and not to say other markets don't get it, but like this market especially is like, the blood boils, and then all of a sudden you see like Wendell Clark never did this.
Oh jeez,
Like,
he's
okay.
got. I saw Wendell. I saw him. I saw him on TV the other day. He's got one more season left. He's got one more run left in him. I saw Dougie too.
The
One
best
more,
is
just
like
one more
people
run.
tweeting at me being like, "Can Rosie come back?" Like, Rosie's having wine in Italy right now. I don't think he has any interest in that. But sure.
He's doing fine. All right, let's finish up the program here. It's we're being selfish with your time. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home where all the action is on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Miss puck drop? No sweat. With live same game parlay, you can build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus, and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. What are we looking at tonight? By the way, Buffalo Sabres. Colton Ellis gets the start tonight for the Swords. Noah Ostlund playing with Jason Zucker and Quinn. You know how I feel about Noah Ostlund. I love this guy. I think he's a hell of a player. Anyhow, what are we looking at tonight, Zacharou?
We got 3 games on the schedule for tonight. Minnesota at New Jersey, Detroit at Buffalo, the Habs against the Flames. The one that stands out to me, Laz used it as his best bet earlier today on their show on Morning Cup of Hockey, but I am a little surprised this Buffalo-Detroit game is as tight as it is in the odds. I don't know. I just feel like the Red Wings, they got a little spark. They got a little jam to them right now.
Yeah.
And like Buffalo doesn't scream feeling the best. Like, I don't know. It's not to say they can't win or anything like that, but just to see it at -105 for the Sabres just felt strange. I felt like we would see something a little bigger on the Red Wings. By the way, just a quick note before the Hughes thing that we brought up yesterday, how we did the shots on goal. Mm-hmm. You said if Jack Hughes wins the shots on goal bet that was there the most in the game or in the day, it would be a bad day for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
It might have been a good day to bet Jack Hughes yesterday. I don't know if he finished with the most, but it might have been a good day to do it.
Yeah, no kidding. So one other thing I just want to point out here quickly. I know it's going to seem like salt on the wound, and listen, a lot of it is because of the conditioning stint with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Rochester is playing Syracuse tonight in the American Hockey League. Luukkonen was sent down yesterday on conditioning. Buffalo Sabres are playing tonight. When have we ever said this? There's more money with the American League goaltenders tonight than there is with the NHL goaltenders tonight.
Yeah.
I think it's like $6.5 million worth of goalies in the American Hockey League between Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Alexander Georgiev, and Devin Levi. And then you have Alex Lyon and Colton Ellis. Ellis gets a start tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. I understand a lot of it is a conditioning stint. I want to make sure we're all up front about that. But it's just a unique situation where there's more money in the American League in the blue paint than there is in the NHL. That's all.
You know, we are a Rochester Americans supporting podcast.
We are.
And so
We are.
For the
Like,
positive on this, they've
this
got
is
great goaltending depth in Rochester.
They really have awesome goaltending depth in Rochester. That was the one thing that I was trying to paint last year. Like, because I mean, how many times could you just like sort of bang on the Sabres? We all know what the situation that they're in, and all last year we kept saying like, but Rochester is one of the best teams in the American Hockey League. You know, they got a great farm team, and it's a historical heritage team in the American Hockey League, and they're playing great, and all these wonderful players. And I'll say the same thing about Rochester this year. When in doubt, go to Roch. Like, just sort of provide some balance if we can with the Buffalo Sabres. Sure, things may not look great, and we don't know what the rest of the season is going to look like. But Rochester's a nice team. Rochester's good. I like Rochester. I'm going to Rochester tomorrow. Going to Rochester for the weekend. My kid's got a tournament. Oh, yeah, did I mention that? I'm doing the show Friday from Rochester. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
probably should have
I
mentioned
did
that
know
one.
that, actually.
Okay, good.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
I was told through the other channels that there was going to be some traveling, so I was aware of that one.
Okay, I didn't, but I did tell you about Rochester. So here we are just having our private conversation on the air. Anything you want to tell me? Everything going okay with the wife and the kids and the family, all that? Everything all right? You're doing fine? Oh, okay. How
we're all good.
Therapy's
Hockey
going good
tonight.
for you? Anything you want to share with me here? No one's watching by this point in the show anyway. Anything you want to go over?
New
No?
golf clubs came in. My therapy is going to the simulator later, so that's gonna go hit balls really hard.
When in
I
doubt.
can't believe this team stinks again. I can't believe we're going through this.
When in doubt, you got your Blue Jays to cheer for. All right, on
right.
that we're done. Thanks so much for watching on YouTube. Thanks so much for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe. The likes always help. The interaction always does. Thanks to everybody in the chat as always. Thanks so much for showing up either with your eyeballs or your ears or both. We appreciate it here. Thanks to John Michael Lyles for stopping by. Glad that we got everything squared away with Brian Brick, and he could join us today to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Hartford Whalers and the Quebec Nordiques and Ross Johnston and the Gordie Howe hat trick, etc., etc. And he joined us from Sherway Gardens, which is the first place, Zach, you'll like this one. That is the first place I got my picture taken with Santa.
Wow.
Sherway Gardens. Yeah, so the minute he said Sherway Gardens, like, oh, my mom used to take me there when I was a kid. Anyhow, we move along. Thanks for our guest today. Thanks to you for listening or watching. Thanks for the buns and the use of the hall. Tip your Zamboni driver on the way out. All the other cliches you're used to me saying. We're back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, for more of The Sheet. Dismissed. Conduct yourselves accordingly. Jeff Merrick along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Face-Off, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.